So normally at this time of year, I would be putting together my Game of the Year awards. I won't be doing that this year, and it's because of Gordon over at Gib84. Now there will be a link down in the description and you can go and check out Gordon, but what he's asked us to do is to do our top 25 games of the last, well, he thinks it's 25 years, but from 2000 to the end of 2025, there's actually been 26 years. So you will be getting my Game of the Year for every year from 2000 all the way through to 2025, and they're coming right up straight after these. So firstly, I want to say I appreciate your time. I don't want to waste too much of it. There's 26 games here, 26 Game of the Years, and this is not a definitive list. This is my list. My list of the Game of the Year from 2000 all the way through to 2025. I'm not going to waste your time. We're going to get started with my Game of the Year for the year 2000. And drum roll please, because Game of the Year for the year 2000, Final Fantasy IX. Now this was a Final Fantasy that Squaresoft went back to basics to take that horrible taste of Final Fantasy VIII out of our mouths, and I'm so glad they did that because it looked like it was heading down the wrong direction. Fortunately, 2000, they released Final Fantasy IX. It was back to classic Final Fantasy. Yes, there was some tweaks here and there, but not if you were an old school fan. But when it came to the mechanics, there was almost a touch of Final Fantasy II in here, the perfection of Final Fantasy II. And if you know, you know. But I don't want to rattle on too much about every game that comes out here because of time. But Final Fantasy IX, without a doubt, my Game of the Year for the year 2000. Moving swiftly on to the year 2001, there could only be one contender, and that was Final Fantasy X. Now, Final Fantasy X, obviously the first Final Fantasy game on the PlayStation 2, the next generation of Final Fantasy games, and it really did live up to the hype. The graphics and everything in this game just absolutely hold up today. I defy anyone to say that Final Fantasy X didn't grab hold of the PlayStation 2 generation and get it right first time. Now, I won't go into too much detail, but I think this was probably the last time Final Fantasy, or I should say Squaresoft, or what they are now, Square Enix, made a proper Final Fantasy game. This was the last one. It's a fantastic game. It was a great game to go out on. I just wish they would make more like this. So Final Fantasy X, my Game of the Year for 2001. Moving into the year 2002, and this one's going to take some people by surprise because it's a Nintendo game, it's a GameCube game, it's Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. Now, this is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't played this game, don't look into it, just try and get a way to play it and play it blind, because a lot of the mechanics in this game, they're really top notch, but only if you play it blind. Anyone who's played the game will know what I'm talking about. But other than just the unique mechanics of this game, and other than it being a mature rated game on the GameCube, a Nintendo system, what I truly love about Eternal Darkness is it's got that old school survival horror down to a T, and this was one of the games that signalled the end of that era too. We moved on from the likes of Eternal Darkness and the early Resident Evils onto that travesty of Resident Evil 4. But let's not talk about that. We're here to talk about Eternal Darkness, and the fact it is without a doubt my 2002 Game of the Year. Moving on to the Game of the Year 2003, this one's going to shock a lot of people because it's a green spine. That's right, an Xbox game has made it onto my Game of the Year awards, and it's made my Game of the Year for 2003, and not just because it's Star Wars, and I absolutely love Star Wars, but because this game is probably the only decent Star Wars RPG I have ever played. Well, the second one's okay. But the first one just nailed it first time, and what an absolute star of a game. Now, the reason people know that I don't really gel too much with the green spines, it's not so much Xbox games, it's more Microsoft's ambitions for the console space. But that's what we're not here to talk about. We're here to talk about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It's my game of the year for 2003. It's an absolutely fantastic game. It could be up there with Game of the Millennium, you never know. But Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, my game of the year for 2003. Game of the year 2004, we're back to Blue Spines, of course, and we have Lord of the Rings, The Third Age. Now, I think most people will see that there's a sort of pattern here. We're looking at role-playing games, and most specifically, we're looking at turn-based combat and role-playing games. Now, this one, extra special because it's Lord of the Rings. I am a huge Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge Tolkien fan. I mean, not many people out there can say that one of the favourite books of all time is The Silmarillion, but I can. And this game here, it takes the story of the first of Peter Jackson's movies, but you follow behind the Fellowship. You are a new Fellowship, like a backup Fellowship, just following behind. Lots of clips of the movie throughout this game. Combat's fantastic, the leveling up's fantastic, and it's a game that I have played over and over again. Like most of my games of the year, definitely get multiple playthroughs. But 2004, Game of the Year, Lord of the Rings, The Third Age. 2005, Game of the Year, and it's a series I absolutely love, and it's the first game in the series, obviously, and it's Yakuza. And I can't speak highly enough about the Yakuza games. Now, you don't have to play the original PlayStation 2 Yakuza game. You can play the remasters, the Kiwami remasters, and they are a fantastic way to experience them. But anyone who hasn't played the Yakuza games, you have to play them all. This is one of the best stories I have ever experienced in video games, and we're talking 8 games now, 8 mainline Yakuza games. There's other side games. You can possibly play them if you want as well, but at least play the first 8, or the 8 that we have at the moment, Yakuza games. It's a story that follows Kiryu all the way through until he meets Ichiban, and I don't want to spoil it. The story's fantastic. If you played it, you know. If you haven't played it, get the Yakuza series played and play it all back to back. I don't care what anybody says, you'll never get burnt out. Not with this guy here. But here we have 2005 Game of the Year, Yakuza. 2006 Game of the Year is another series of games I absolutely love, and it's Persona 3. Now, I just can't talk highly enough about the Persona 3 or the Persona series, especially 3, 4, 5, and even with 4 Golden and then 5 Royal, this series of games has absolutely captivated me. Now, it does come from the Shin Megami Tensei series of games, but you know what? It's a little bit different. I know a lot of people don't like the life sim aspects to these games, the diary aspect where you have certain things that you can do during the day, but only so many things. Yes, it's time constraining, but it makes you think about how you spend the game. It also makes it highly replayable, just to see if you've missed anything, or just to see if you can do absolutely everything in the game. But Shin Megami Tensei, P3, Persona 3, my game of the year for 2006. Game of the year for 2007, we're in a completely different system when I don't play a lot, but it's sitting right there, and that is Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. Now, there's been a remake, a remaster of this, and I highly recommend you play that. It's a little bit easier to play with gamers with modern sensibilities, but Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core is a must play if you're a Final Fantasy fan. and especially if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan. And the reason for that is it gives you the story behind, well, not just Zack, but how Cloud became Cloud. It helps in that way, because Final Fantasy VII's story is absolutely a twisted mess that's really hard to untangle. It's really worth it if you take the time to dive into that story. But this one here, Crisis Core, definitely helps with that, and it's my game of the year for 2007. Game of the year for 2008 is a game that I've put more hours into than I care to confess to, and that is Fallout 3. Now, this year's a Game of the Year edition because the DLC is really juicy. That was back in the day when DLC was really juicy. But Fallout 3 absolutely captivated me. It was my first introduction to the Fallout series, which is strange because the early Fallout games on the PC would have been something that I would have loved if I came across them back in the day, just didn't. But Fallout 3 made its way to me on the PlayStation 3 and it absolutely spellbound me. Fantastic game, fantastic Western role-playing game. I just wish they would do a remaster of this so people could play it in modern systems or current systems, because this is pretty much locked to the PlayStation 3 unless you want to stream it on that horrible streaming service. I hate streaming services, got to be physical. So unless you've got a PlayStation 3 handy to pop this disc in at the moment, this is the only way you're probably going to play this, because you don't want to stream it. But Fallout 3, what a game, what a fantastic game, and my game of the year for 2008. Game of the year for 2009, we have Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Now obviously it wasn't the first Uncharted game I played the first one first, as most people do, but this one is just head and shoulders above any of them. I still rank this higher than Uncharted 4. Now they're all top games, they're games that you must play, but this one without a doubt gets my vote for the best in the series, and it's absolutely the reason why it made it onto my Game of the Year awards. I mean, it's fantastic, the story is fantastic, and obviously, I mean, most people who know me know that I'm big onto RPGs, especially Japanese role-playing games with, well, turn-based combat. I mean, I like the slow stuff, but this action-based, cinematic, big set pieces, not usually my type of game, but this absolutely blew me away, and the whole series did. So if you haven't played any of the Uncharted games, what have you been doing with your time? But get round to playing them, because this, without a doubt, my Game of the Year for 2009. And Game of the Year for 2010 is yet another action adventure, and it's Red Dead Redemption from those wonderful people at Rockstar. Now, a lot of people were worried this was just going to be GTA on horseback, and it is so not, because obviously the protagonist, John Marston, in this is a guy who's trying to be better than what he was before. He's trying to improve, he's trying to save his family, he's trying to do right, and he's been forced down a darker path by, of course, the pesky government. Now, I just can't explain how impactful this game was back in the day. The graphics were stunning, the gameplay was fantastic, the story, chef's kiss. So Red Dead Redemption, the first one, definitely made my Game of the Year for 2010. Game of the Year for 2011, we have The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, and I'm not going to be surprised if anybody's not surprised that this is on my list. It is a Western role-playing game. I didn't play a lot of Western role-playing games until obviously Fallout 3, but Bethesda, you know, back when they actually put games out in a timely fashion, they gave us some absolute bangers, and Skyrim is definitely up there. I mean, it must be, it's been ported to just about every system that's ever come out, and rightly so. Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls V, when are we going to get 6? Really, when are we going to get 6? It was only teased 6 years ago. So, but I'm just going to have to be happy that in 2011, my Game of the Year was The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. In Game of the Year for 2012, we have on the PS Vita Persona 4 Golden, and this is just absolutely peak way to play the Persona 4 game. Yes, the first game, the original game, it's absolutely fine, you can play that in the PlayStation 2, but P4 Golden is just absolute top tier Persona. Does it outperform Persona 5? You'll just have to wait and see. But yes, without a doubt, Persona 4 Golden, and of course you can get a digital download of this on your PlayStation 4 or 5. I know I don't normally do digital downloads, but I already had the game physically. It was just a nice way to be able to play it on a big screen and with a modern console. But Persona 4 Golden, yes, play it on the Vita if you have the Vita, and of course you can play it on your PlayStation 4 or 5, or it was probably ported to the Xbox as well. But Persona 4 Golden, fantastic game, my game of the year for 2012. Now Game of the Year for 2013, drum roll please, because we have the absolutely stunning Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. And I mean, the best way to explain this game is that if Final Fantasy and Pokemon had a baby and let Studio Ghibli dress it, and that is exactly this game. The story is fantastic, and obviously Studio Ghibli had a hand in that. It comes from Level 5, and Level 5 used to put out such great games. I mean, going right back, there was contenders for other Level 5 games on this Game of the Year for every year of this millennium, for this century. Yep, but unfortunately they weren't quite as top quality as Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. I cannot state highly enough how much time and effort I put into this game, and a lot of people will know other great games come out in 2013, and it's saying a lot that this game here, which I own, not only the PlayStation 3 version, the PlayStation 4 physical version, I own it digitally on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, and I own the Switch physical version as well. I play this game all the time. I probably shouldn't, it's one of my bad habits, replaying games over and over again, but Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is beautiful, the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't played it, get it played. My Game of the Year for 2013. My Game of the Year for 2014, and it's no shock, it's another RPG, but it's a special RPG because it's South Park, The Stick of Truth. Now, I know some people might think I'm having a laugh here, but I'm absolutely not. This is one of the best JRPGs, turn-based JRPGs you will ever play, because it sticks to the truth of South Park. It plays exactly like an extended South Park episode, a small mini South Park movie if you want, but the combat and gameplay is all Japanese turn-based classic role-playing game, and I absolutely love it. I love the humour, love the gameplay, and I quite like South Park as well. It might be my age that we like things like this, but if you're out there and you love South Park and you could maybe stomach a JRPG, then you give this a go, because The Stick of Truth is fantastic. My Game of the Year for 2014. Game of the Year for 2015 is a game that came out of left field for me, and it is Until Dawn. Now, for anyone who hasn't played Until Dawn, doesn't know about it, it's probably the best game, no, it is the best game that Supermassive have put out. Despite putting out some absolutely fantastic games after Until Dawn, they haven't quite managed for me to top Until Dawn. I like to describe it as a modern take on the point and click adventure. It's a slow, choose your own path sort of game. You can make decisions, you can make right decisions, you can make wrong decisions. The graphics, especially at the time, were absolutely stunning, especially the face mocap. And if you haven't played Until Dawn and you want to play a horror game but you're a little bit afraid of horror games, this is just the right level of horror. and also slower pace because you don't need reactions. Well, you do need reactions. There are some QTEs in there, but besides that, it's a great horror game. It's a great reimagining of point-and-click adventures, and if you like that style of game, you should be playing it anyway. And if you don't, give it a try just to see if this turns you on to it. But my game of the year for 2015 is without a doubt Until Dawn. Get it played. Game of the year for 2016, and there was nothing else coming close to it in this year for me or many other years, because it is Persona 5. It's one of my all-time favourite games. It competes up there with Final Fantasy VII and Suikoden 2, but Persona 5, I talked about Persona 4, the mechanics of the game, where it's turn-based combat, it's based in the Shin Megami Tensei world, well, sort of. You play as a high school student, doesn't bother me. I used to be a high school student, I can still imagine being one. And it's got that calendar base, that social element where you go out and you make friends, and the characters in these games are absolutely fantastic. You grow to love them, you grow to hate them, you grow to decide which ones you like the best. It's just fantastic. And then put into that the wonderful Atlas dungeons, crawling about, taking on the oddest demons you will ever see, and recruiting some of them into your party. Pokemon-esque, I suppose, but nothing like Pokemon. Persona 5. Game of the year 2016, hands down, nothing came close in that year. Game of the year for 2017, we have another action adventure, and it's one that took me by surprise because I thought from the gameplay that I saw in trailers I wasn't going to like Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought it was going to be far too frenetic, far too fast paced, far too hard for me to play. It had the kind of look of a Souls-like with big mechs that you had to take down, and it's nothing like that. It's a wonderfully crafted story, wonderful gameplay when it comes to taking on the giant robot mech dinosaurs that are there to protect the Earth. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because if you haven't played the game, I want you to experience the story. The story is, again, top notch. That's something you will see with all my games of the year usually, that the story is front and centre. Gameplay, yes, I like turn-based JRPGs, but I can switch to a more action-based RPG. Now, this is quite RPG light, so anyone who's not quite into the heavy number crunching, this is perfect for you. A light RPG that you can get your teeth into. Fantastic story, fantastic gameplay. Horizon Zero Dawn 2017, there was no other choice for me. And my game of the year for 2018, we have none other than Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man, and what a game this is. Now, obviously, this is my little special edition here with the wonderful steelbook, so you don't see too much about the game on it. But what an absolute stunning game. This is how to do a superhero game. I'd seen nothing like it before. I know they had tried with the earlier Spider-Man games and other superhero games, but this absolutely nailed the formula. There's nothing quite like the traversal in the first game. The second game I played for a little bit, didn't quite gel with it. This one, however, it was just everything that you wanted. Swinging through New York as Spider-Man, getting into those wonderful fights with your gadgets, and you've got to play it. I'm sure you've played it. Most people on the planet have played Spider-Man at this point, and if you haven't, my 2018 Game of the Year, 2018 Game of the Year is a licensed superhero game, but I'm so happy with it. Game of the Year for 2019 is a game that blew my socks off and wasn't expecting it. It's Disco Elysium, and what a game this is. Now, anyone who doesn't know anything about Disco Elysium, it's a traditional point and click game, but it's not, because it's a point and click RPG. The story is dark and bleak. If you don't like dark and bleak stories, you maybe want to avoid this one. It's a game from a Lithuanian developer, I believe, and they just capture the darkness and twistedness of this game perfectly. If you don't like point and click adventures, you've got that RPG element in there. And if you don't like RPGs, you've got that point and click element in there. Can't talk about the story. The story, not only is it vital to the enjoyment of your gameplay, the story can change dramatically from gameplay to gameplay because the decisions in this game, they really do make a difference. It's a well put together point and click adventure. It's a well put together RPG. What a blend! And Disco Elysium 2019 Game of the Year. Game of the Year for the year 2020 and into a whole new decade. We have a game that took me by surprise, very much in the same way that Horizon Zero Dawn took me by surprise. Ghost of Tsushima, from watching trailers and hearing about the game, I really thought it was going to be a tough Souls-like action RPG, and it's not. It's so much more technically competent than that. Well, I know a lot of people out there love their Souls games, but I just find them a bit repetitive death simulators. This is not that. You can choose to be stealthy, you can choose to be full on, rush in, just take everyone out. You can choose the way you play this game, but the beauty of this game, despite the visuals, I don't want to go on too much about the visuals because you will absolutely drool over the visuals in Ghost of Tsushima. But for me, the story, the decisions you make are important because he doesn't want to be doing what he's having to be doing. It's one of those games where you're forced into a situation where you don't want to be that guy, but he's forced into it. Kind of like San Andreas, another game that I absolutely love. Didn't make this list, but Ghost of Tsushima, and get this played. This is fantastic if you haven't played it. My game of the year for 2020, hands down. Game of the year for 2021 is another game that absolutely took me by surprise, and it's been on a few people's lists, which I'm quite happy to see, and it's Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy. Second Marvel game in there along with Spider-Man. Now this is much more action role play than obviously Spider-Man, which was more of an action adventure game. This has got lots of role play elements in it, but what really took my breath away was the story in this. Now also I was surprised that this became my game of the year because I wasn't going to play this game, and quite simply because Marvel Avengers that had just come out it kinda left a bad taste in the mouth. It had for me anyway. Wasn't going to play it, talked myself into you've got to give it a try anyway, give it its fair shake, and Guardians of the Galaxy, stunning game, stunning looking game, great story, so Guardians of the Galaxy, the tongue-in-cheek humour, the interaction between the characters, you know they're a family, the way they act, and for me, 2021, this was without a doubt my game of the year. Game of the Year 2022 is going to surprise a lot of people because it's not action adventure or RPG or anything like that. It's a sports game and it's Gran Turismo 7. Now back in the day, I absolutely loved Gran Turismo. The first game, the second game, the third and the fourth. They did start to fall away. They started, and especially with Gran Turismo Sport, I just didn't like that at all. We waited a long time for Gran Turismo 7 and it was worth the wait. This game here, although not completely taking us back to the glory days of Gran Turismo and Gran Turismo 2, it did bring back a flavour of that. Enough of a flavour, and combined with the stunning PlayStation 5 graphics, there's no question in that. It just elevated the game so much. Don't play a lot of sports games and I don't play a lot of racing games, but this without a doubt 2022 Game of the Year. And Gordon, what a photo mode as well. Game of the Year 2023, we have another action RPG and we have another sort of new IP because we have Hogwarts Legacy from Portkey Games. Now this absolutely stunned me. It's exactly the sort of Hogwarts Harry Potter game that you really wanted to play. It's not set during Harry Potter's time, so it's nothing to do with him or his story. It goes back to the early 1900s. you are a new student at Hogwarts, you're coming in late, you're coming in much later than normal students, and you get wrapped up in this sort of conspiracy where the goblins are out to get elder magic. Now, don't want to go into the story. The gameplay, fantastic. It plays beautifully. If you want to feel like you are a sorcerer, you want to feel like you're flying in brooms and casting spells and riding hippogriffs, this is absolutely fantastic. Graphics are stunning, gameplay's great, story's fantastic. I mean, this is what I hate to say Harry Potter game, but that's what people associate it with. This is what a Harry Potter game should be. It's top tier, must play. I've played it every year since it came out. I've got one more playthrough to get the Hufflepuff trophy, and I really don't want to get the Hufflepuff trophy because who wants to be a Hufflepuff, right? But I will play through it again, and then I'll go back and play through it as a Gryffindor, the proper house. But Hogwarts Game of the Year 2023. Game of the Year 2024 goes to none other than Metaphor, ReFantazio, and Atlas game, and it's the third pillar of Atlas, or so they say. They won a third pillar along with Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, and you know what? If they can manage to get a third pillar out of this, then fantastic, because this game is absolutely stunning. It plays exactly like, well, it plays exactly like Persona when you're coming to the sort of calendar and social aspects. It plays a little bit more like Shin Megami Tensei when it comes to the combat. The combat is turn-based. I love turn-based combat. I love Atlas. Love Persona. Quite like Shin Megami Tensei. I just wish it was a bit easier. And Metaphor ReFantazio came out, blew my socks off, because I thought, are they going to be able to do it again? A third different franchise within the Shin Megami Tensei Persona universes? And they absolutely have. Now, the thing about this one, it's not set in modern times. You don't play as a high school student. You play as a young man out there trying to become king. I won't go into the story in case you haven't played it. But yes, this is an absolute must play. It's Atlas. All Atlas games are an absolute must play. But Metaphor ReFantazio, without a doubt, my game of the year for 2024. And a big drum roll please, because now we're getting to my game of the year for 2025. That's this year, the year that's just happened. If you're watching this video in the future, then you just have to check your calendar to see when that was. But without further ado, and nobody will be surprised about this, my game of the year for 2025, Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and this game is absolutely stunning. I mean, visually it's stunning. It's a different sort of art style. It's kind of realistic but kind of not, and that's because, well, if you've played the game you'll understand why it's slightly not realistic, because of where the game is set. I'm not going to say where the game is set because that would give away some of the stuff that you would want to discover for yourself. The combat, it's turn-based, but it has a dodge and parry and other mechanics in there as well. So it's not just simple random number generator, which, you know, normally I don't like. I'll be honest with you, I like random number generator because that's true RPG. It's definitely true JRPG with turn-based combat. But this adds enough flavour to the game that will bring more people into RPGs. Once you play this, it'll get hooks in you. The music's absolutely stunning. And of course, anyone who's been watching game news over the last month will know that this has swept just about every game award that has come its way. And it's rightly so. This game is stunning in every department, and considering it was made for under $10 million by a small team of about 30, and yes, they did outsource, but everybody outsources. But with $10 million, how much outsourcing was actually done? But under $10 million, small team, their first game, some of them their very first game, I've got to say that as well. Oh, just, you've got to get this played. Game of the year, and definitely it's up there for game of the decade and even game of the millennium. Expedition 33, game of the year 2025. So there you go, my friends. That was my games of the year from 2000 to 2025. And what did you think of them? Anything that you want to talk about, drop down into the comments, because interaction between you and me, well, that's what makes YouTube special. It does for me anyway. Thank you very much for watching as always. And until next time, of course, cheerio.